Well, we bought the property, we've been there, what, 3 years? We bought it 3 years ago. The house never met the setbacks, it was built before that. So we built a pergola, which I'm not sure about what this is, but I felt it was a part of the aesthetics for shade. He's got skin cancer. For shade, for make it look good, to be honest with you, and landscape. We thought it was part of landscaping until somebody else said that's not true, it's a structure.
I oppose this variance request, and let me give you my reasoning. It's already been constructed. It was built without the proper permitting. This isn't the first time that this has happened. This is the third time that they've made modifications to this home without getting the proper permits. Now, when the township passed the relatively new zoning requirements, I'll admit, I was opposed to it. It appeared to me an overregulation of homeowners, but it passed, and we got it as a rule now. And having it as a rule, it seems that everyone complies except for Rock Solid Eagle Point LLC. And if we're gonna have the rules, why aren't we gonna enforce them? And if the township doesn't provide oversight for the rules, then what's the point of the rules? Okay, the structure has not met the rules for the placements and the setbacks, as you've heard from Ms. Stein. That creates a burden on the immediately adjacent neighbors. The pergola is too close to those neighbors. It blocks views, hinders their access to their property, and creates an unsightly obstacle to the quiet enjoyment of their property. To allow a variance of this kind after the fact puts law-abiding builders and contractors in a quandary. Do they comply or not? Allowing an individual to forego compliance puts the other contractors at a competitive disadvantage. If the variance is allowed, those contractors will be forced, or tempted is probably a better word, to forego the rules. And if caught, simply ask for forgiveness. It creates a catch me if you can identity. Last year, I had to apply for a variance. It took time, effort, and money to go through the process, but I did it, and I had contacted all my neighbors and worked with the neighbors to address any concerns they had. And now to allow someone to break the rules, not incur the permitting time, effort, or money, and then ask for forgiveness is simply unacceptable. It creates a bad precedent and an incentive for all future building in the township. The rules don't matter. Now, the owner has said they thought that this pergola was landscaping. Well, that is farcical in and of itself. But okay, just a second. A variance goes with the property no matter who the owner is. If the variance goes through, there's no protection from an owner enclosing the pergola in the future. The structure is non-conforming, but an enclosed structure would be worse. And so I think the remedy here is to deny the variance, require the pergola be taken down. I think that there should be a fine in an amount sufficient to make them rethink violation of our ordinances. And I also wanted to include that my brother, who owns a house 3 doors away from the property, that he is opposed to it also. His name is David H. Nichols.
Formally submitting my objection to the variance request for the pergola at 1392 Eagle Point Road. Based on the facts, it is my position that the structure was erected willfully and knowingly in violation of multiple township zoning ordinances, including but not limited to setback and shoreline construction regulations. The applicant appears to have proceeded with full awareness that had they applied for a variance prior to construction, the project would not have met approval criteria. This is not a procedural misstep, it's an intentional circumvention of the lawful process. As someone with strong ties to the construction and development community, I can confidently state that legitimate contractors do not begin work without approved variances. Doing so would expose them to stop work orders, fines, and potential license suspension. By allowing this retroactive approval, the board would be actively awarding unlawful conduct and setting a precedent that compliance is optional for those who choose to take the gamble. Should this variance be granted, the township is opening itself to serious legal exposure. Contractors and property owners who have been forced to comply with regulations, often at great expense and delay, will have legitimate grounds for legal redress on the basis of selective enforcement, unequal treatment, and procedural inconsistency. I will also act accordingly. I own waterfront property on Hyde Road. Should the variance be approved, I'll proceed to construct a pergola, install a hot tub on my shoreline without prior approval. I'll then apply for a variance retroactively. If my variance is denied, while this one is granted, the disparity will form the foundation of a lawsuit against the township for arbitrary and capricious enforcement of zoning laws. In short, granting this variance will not only compromise the integrity of the board, but invite significant legal and public consequences. The rules must apply equally, or legitimacy of the zoning process itself is undermined.
Is in my opinion that the structure does not meet the rules and/or criteria for acceptable placement. Not only has it not satisfied the setback rules, it was built without proper permitting. I'm aware that this is not the first time the owner has made changes without a permit. The owner was also red tagged once before during a remodel that increased the square footage to this non-conforming lot. Rules are put in place for a reason and should not be broken, except for extraordinary circumstances. If it is allowed to remain, it is a dangerous precedent. Why do we have rules if we don't enforce them? The owner must believe the rules don't apply to him. Apparently, asking for forgiveness is the approach being used by this one. I am not in favor of this structure, and I think it should be taken down.
My name is Charles Timberlake, and I live at 1434 Eagle Point, just up the road from the property in question. I have not prepared a statement. I'm just speaking extemporaneously to add my support to what has been said by the previous speakers. I completely agree, and as a neighbor, I would not want such a structure placed at either side of my house.
We have a cottage, couple houses down from them. And I'm not gonna give you a speech, I'm just gonna say I echo what everybody else has said so far. Except, I totally agree that rules are made for a reason. And yeah, forgiveness is one thing when you tell your parents something and you ask for forgiveness. But to blatantly do this, and I know they're not the only ones that do this, I've seen it, but we have rules for a reason, and that's why you're here, and that's why we're all here tonight.
I believe in rules. I'm a rule follower, and I think they are set in place for a reason. And I think that if you approve this structure, it's going to set precedents for so many other people, not just at Clark Lake, but we have 6 lakes in our township. And if it happens at Clark Lake, it can happen at any of the other lakes. There are a lot of lots on Clark Lake that are unbuildable, that were purchased, and because they didn't follow the variance, and the next weeks went by, they came, the owners would apply for building permits, and they're not able to build because they didn't look at the variance. How is this any different? If this would have come to you in the beginning, they would have known that they needed to talk to all of their neighbors and follow the rules. So I'm against it. I don't know what the outcome should be, but I definitely believe that we have variances for a reason and we should follow the proper channels.
I did not spend the amount of money that I spent on that pergola for maliciousness. I was creating a great space for my kids. So I really am offended by all of you who felt this was intentional. You saying I was maliciously doing something. That is not the case. I would have not spent that amount of money to piss everybody. So whatever you decide, but it was not a malicious
breaking the rules at all. And I'm really, really disappointed that I would have went to every one of you if I would have thought I was breaking the rules, getting away with something. I was this bad person that I am not. Is for my children to live in a beautiful space that we're creating. So if we have to take it down, we take it down. But I will say, from my deck, I cannot see the water because of my neighbor's tree, not because of a pergola. I can't see it from my deck or my porch. I have to go out to the water to see to the left. But that's different.
July 12th,
I didn't hear what
2024.
you said it was
It's from the building inspector.
Okay.
He came by your home and saw this was built with, it's got the violation, no permits. And then I have the next paper, you applied for this permit, 4/22. This is just 5/22, 5/20 of 25. So from July
That is
till
true.
April.
You're right
I
about
mean,
that.
that's all I'm asking, is that
Yeah.
question.
And I wish I could say that it's my fault, but it is my husband.